This is Monday, October 2nd, 2023, and it's a short update on the Waterfall ficus, as I call it. This is the original little ficus tree that I had planted in a boulder, actually a big hole in a boulder in the front landscaping of my house, and it began to put out an air root, a little tiny strand air root, like this one in here, this little tiny one here, and that over time began to run down the front of the boulder and actually touched the ground below the boulder and expanded into this huge air root. So over about a 7-year period, I kept watching it, and I thought to myself, boy, that's kind of cool. And realized that there was an opportunity to pull the whole thing out as this air root began to thicken, and it was in the ground, and it was rooted, air root. I said to myself, wow, if I take the whole thing out, the original this original tiny little ficus, if I take that out, I can, and remove the big air root that's grown into the ground over the boulder, I can turn this into a really cool bonsai that's a 2-level bonsai, and that's what I've done here. So a couple of years ago, I guess, I did that. I took the whole thing out, I defoliated the top completely, and pulled out the top and pulled out the air root at the bottom, and then planted the whole shebang in these 2 pots, and let it continue to grow for another couple of years. In fact, I have another plant, another ficus plant, that turns out to be an escape root from this lower air root, an escape root that got out of underneath of this pot and grew in between some bricks, where I had this whole thing sitting on a 2-tiered display table, and I'm now growing that plant as a separate plant. Way too early for its debut, by the way. But meanwhile, this thing is turning out to be, in my opinion, an extremely interesting bonsai. I don't think I've ever seen, I'm sure I'm not the inventor of this kind of bonsai, a 2-stage air root, yada 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 bonsai. Got to come up with some technical term like Big Elvis bonsai, but it's really coming along well, and I've got it right now on a large table. Actually, this table is made out of a large Florida sandstone, big hunk of sandstone that we cut in half and turned into a table base. This is sitting in a lanai. Here's the lanai. It's just off of the kitchen area of our home. Got a little TV in here, a few other bonsais. Got a preserve out back, bunch of ducks in a pond, swimming pool, bunch of other plants and boulders and things we have landscaping. And I think this is the longest video I've done on this particular bonsai, but it seems to be doing well. I get a little worried about about it not getting enough direct sun. It gets a lot of indirect light, but I'm thinking I may move the whole thing over on top of this boulder, and it'll get a lot more light, albeit diffused light through this covering over the pool screen, and the diffused light will not be so harsh, but it will get a little bit more light. I think I might do that in the coming days. I've got it all on this slab of wood, and I can move this whole thing. Two of us can pick that whole thing up and move it en masse, and that may be its next resting spot, to be right on this top of this large boulder. So that's an update on the Waterfall 2-stage first and second floor, whatever you want to call it, bonsai. It's a type of ficus. Not sure it's Green Island ficus, and I can't remember right now what it is. I should know that, but it's coming along really well, and I think it's the most interesting bonsai that I have right now. So, and I am resurrecting for the second time the Podocarpus bonsai that I am doing. What do you call it? Resurrection Podocarpus. But there's a term for that one too, and I'll have that as an update pretty soon. Maybe I'll just walk down there. I've got enough on this video now. Let's go down there and take a look at that. Oh, before I do that, got a little Brazilian rain tree here I'm working on, and I'm creating kind of a plated top. There, that's kind of a cool piece. Had that for a long time. Going down into my workshop. Bunch of stuff here. Dog's barking. Well, I'm doing a lot of desert rose now, and lots of different techniques, and very tall desert rose. Look at the size of these things. Look at this one wrapped up. It's very cool. Desert rose, and then a baobab. A baobab that I'm letting stretch out a little bit, and but over here we have the Podocarpus Phoenix Graft. That's what term I'm looking for. Here's the Phoenix Graft Podocarpus. I've got it kind of in a shaded area, and as you can see, I'm working on tying in another two whips. And here I've got to get this pressed in a little bit more, but I'm being very careful this time. Last time I screwed this up because I pushed the whips into the channels too soon and too hard. And so the stage this is in now, I have allowed the Podocarpus whips to just sit planted in the base here, around the base of the dead trunk that I had killed in the past. So this was gorgeous. But I let the two whips, one whip is planted here, and the other whip is planted in here. and I just let them stay upright without putting them into or tying them into the channel. And I let that go for maybe a couple months just to make sure that the whips were becoming rooted and were still healthy. And you can see all this new growth is an indication that everything is well and good. So then I started to push the whip into, you can see here, for instance, I've got a little piece of rolled up, can you see that? Where is it? Oh, right here. Rolled up cardboard to hold this part of the whip into the channel. The idea being that once I get this all in the channel, I'll just let it sit and let it grow and hope that it stays healthy, treat it right, not like I've apparently done in the past. And those whips will begin to develop and thicken. And this time I'm going to leave a lot of the branching all the way down to basically pull the branch thicker and thicker, as opposed to taking it off and only having it come out the top. So anyway, that's the update on the Podocarpus whip. So this little trip through my collection is just about done, and might as well walk over here to the, I'm doing a lot of fiddle leaf fig air layers. All these fiddle leaf figs I have in here and a bunch more elsewhere are a result of an air layering process. So I've got a bunch of fiddle leaf figs now that are air layered. Oh boy, I need to get some water on this stuff. These are some vines that I've grown from scratch, from seed. And that vine is this. Look at the flowers on the leaves. So this whole vine, can't remember what it is right now, it runs along this fence. That whole vine gave me a bunch of seeds. And there's my seeds. They need water. So we'll be getting some water. And this all, well, no, these guys, these are Suriname cherries. And these Suriname cherries came off of this Suriname cherry tree that I've cut way back, and it needs some water too. Thought I killed it, but I didn't. And I guess got a bunch more desert rose here that some of which I've grown from seed. Got a lot of jade in here. So that's a little look, short trip around part of the garden, and it's 13 minutes, so this kind of got away from me, somewhere in Southwest Florida. Bye-bye.